So, every time I hear someone mention space elevators, I can't help but picture this sci-fi skyscraper stretching straight into the stars. But it's not just a wild fantasy, right? There's real science behind it.
It's funny, the concept feels like something out of a comic book, but engineers and scientists have been seriously exploring it for decades. The idea is simple. Instead of blasting rockets into space, imagine vehicles just climbing up a cable all the way to orbit.
That's just wild. So, the basic idea is a cable anchored on Earth, stretching up to a satellite in geostationary orbit, and climbers move up and down? Feels almost like an elevator to a space hotel.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that these climbers could run on electricity, think solar panels, or even lasers, sending power from the ground instead of burning massive amounts of rocket fuel. That changes the whole equation for getting to space.
But then reality sets in, right? You can't just pop down to the hardware store for 36 kilometers of super strong cable. What's the main showstopper here?
The big one is material strength. We need something far stronger and lighter than steel, think carbon nanotubes or graphene. Those are lab marvels, but making them long and flawless enough for the elevator? We're not there yet. It's like needing a fishing line that stretches from New York to Sydney without snapping.
That's a wild mental image. And aside from building the cable, I keep wondering, what about all the space junk and micrometeoroids whizzing by? Wouldn't one bad hit snap the whole thing?
That's honestly one of the scariest parts. The cable would need constant monitoring and quick repairs. Plus, you have geopolitics to deal with. Getting countries to agree on funding, hosting, and running the elevator is no small feat. It's basically an international trust exercise with $1 trillion price tag.
Sounds like we need a miracle in both science and diplomacy. But I'm curious what's actually being done to move things forward.
What really gives me hope is the progress in material science. Labs keep pushing the limits on carbon nanotubes and graphene, trying to produce them on a massive scale. It's slow, but every breakthrough gets us a step closer.
And before we go, full scale on Earth. Isn't the plan to test smaller elevators on the Moon or Mars? Lower gravity, less atmosphere seems like a good proving ground.
Definitely. Building a lunar elevator is more realistic in the short term. The cable wouldn't have to be nearly as strong. Plus, there's a big international push to form a consortium, kind of like the United Nations, but for space megaprojects. That kind of teamwork is vital.
And power is another puzzle. Using lasers to beam energy to the climbers sounds straight out of Star Trek. Are we any closer to making that safe and efficient?
There's a lot of work happening on that front. Engineers are experimenting with high-power lasers and microwave beams, plus autonomous robots that could crawl along the cable and patch up damage. The real test will be scaling all this up without any catastrophic slip-ups.
Thinking about what all this could unlock is honestly exciting. If we pull off a space elevator, what's the first big change you'd expect to see?
For me, it's the cost drop. Right now, sending anything to space is wildly expensive. With a space elevator, getting supplies, satellites, or even tourists into orbit would be almost like shipping a package overseas, way cheaper and more routine.
And then there's the environmental angle. No more giant rocket launches blasting pollution, just solar power pushing climbers up and down. That could make exploration much greener.
Totally. Plus, with cheaper, easier access, we could start building real infrastructure in space. Think research labs, manufacturing stations, maybe even mining asteroids. It's not just science fiction. It's the foundation for a true space economy.
I love that. Suddenly, permanent bases on the Moon or Mars don't sound so far-fetched. And the boost for scientific research. Just imagine the discoveries we'd make if getting to space was as easy as catching a train.
The thing is, even if we're decades away from seeing a space elevator, the journey there is pushing so many technologies forward: materials, robotics, international cooperation. It's like chasing the moon landing all over again.
That's such a great point. Sometimes, trying to reach for something seemingly impossible ends up sparking breakthroughs we never planned for. And who knows, today's science fiction could be tomorrow's commute.
Honestly, the dream itself is almost as important as the finished elevator. It keeps us asking, what if, and pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible. Whether or not we see it in our lifetime, it's a testament to human curiosity.
Here's to dreaming big, and maybe, one day, riding an elevator straight into the stars. Thanks so much for this fascinating chat.